I'm not teaching, I'm publicly learning, but hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test part 24, Legal and Political Changes part 2, which is on page 80. So we already have it in the Middle Ages from 467 until 1485. The system was developed on which today's parliament in Great Britain is based on. And that the king more or less had full power until 1215, but when in 1215 King John was forced by his noblemen to agree to some demands which were limiting the king's power to create new laws and to change laws, and this Magna Carta, in which all these things were listed, protected the rights of the nobility. In future, the king would need to involve his noblemen in decisions. So if a king wanted to make a decision, I guess that means to change a law or to create a new law or how taxes are collected, he had to, not just if he wanted in the king's council, where the noblemen and leaders of the church were, but he actually had to ask them, would need to involve his noblemen in decisions. That means they had an involvement in it. They had to say something in it, in these decisions. In England, parliaments were called for the king to consult his nobles, particularly when the king needed to raise money. We will read that again, but basically is an explanation of the sentence before, but I didn't pay fully attention. We're starting with a standing yoga. We are having the leg standing with and shoulder wide apart. We're breathing in and bringing the arms up. And we're breathing out and we're opening the chest to the sky. And we're breathing in. And we're breathing again out. And again in. Now close the hands. And out and lean back. And again in. And out and lean again back. And again in. And out. Now because we want to do, in a moment, the chair, we're doing the moderator. So the moderator is that we're going a bit in front onto the toes and back onto the heels, and we're changing back and forth. In England, parliaments were called for the king to consult his nobles, particularly when the king needed to raise money. So if a king needed money, then he called the parliament, in which then the nobles were, because he needed money. So if the king wanted money, then he could not just make a decision, a new law, collect taxes or something, but he had to call the councils or meeting with all the nobles together and ask them for it, and he needed to involve them in the decision to collect taxes or to make a new law to raise money or something like that. The numbers attending parliament increased and two separate parts known as houses were established. So, if you just take that sentence, it's possible to understand that just there were too many people, maybe the room was too small and they needed two rooms, but I don't think they mean that. There were two houses created and they are known as houses because the parliament was too big. But I guess that was not just a decision based on too much people, and maybe that someone of the insurance for the fire company said there are too many people in the house and there wouldn't come enough through the exit ways. Now to the next exercise, we'll be doing the triangle. So the toes pointing in that direction and these toes in that direction, and we are lifting the arms up. We're breathing in and out. We're shifting forward to one side, and now we are going down and we're taking hold onto the leg and we're looking up to the other hand. And we're breathing in and out back into the triangle. We are switching the position of the feet, so these are this direction. We're breathing in and out. We're shifting again forward. We're breathing in and out. We're bringing one hand down to the leg and we're looking up to the other hand. We're breathing in and out, and that was the triangle. The king had to consult the parliament if he wanted more money, and they had to be involved in this decision to get more money. And the numbers attending parliament increased, and two separate parts known as houses were established. The nobility, great landowners, and bishops sat in the House of the Lords. So one of these two houses is the House of Lords, and in one of them were the bishops and people who were great landowner and nobility. And that is the House of Lords. Yes, Lords. So in the House of Lords there were the nobility, so I guess the noblemen, so I guess the lords, the House of Lords, and also bishops. Bishops are high people in the church. So leaders of the church, they had here before in the King's Council advisors. So the King's Council, they were the noblemen and leaders of the church. So yes, we see that the parliament of today, we are halfway to the parliament today, has its roots back into the time in the Middle Ages. Then there were two houses because the number of participating people, what was it? The attendance, I think is the word. The number of attendances increased, and there were two, and one of them was the House of Lords, and in them are the nobility, the noblemen, and bishops. What's the third one? The nobility, great landowners. So not just nobility, so noblemen, but great landowners. We know of Ireland that they are not lords had the land in the system of feudalism, but clans. So possibly great landowners doesn't have to be part of a nobility. But I think we're going much too deep in just a sentence, which can't express everything. Now we're having our feet standing almost together. We're having an inch of space between them. We're breathing in and lifting the arms up. We're breathing in and going up onto the toes. And we're breathing out and we're sinking down into the chair. We are still on tiptoes. And we're breathing in. And out we're coming up. We are all the time on tiptoes. And breathe again in. And out and we're sinking again down to the chair. Still on tiptoes. And now breathe in. Now we're coming up and we're ending the chair exercise. Bringing the arms down. Also going down to the ground with the heels. Now my battery is empty and I don't know how much time I have left. So, the House of Lords. Knights, who were usually small landowners. So knights, we talked a bit of it, they are not part of the nobility that written here. Knights, who were usually smaller landowners, and wealthy people from towns and cities were elected to sit in the House of Commons. So two houses, the House of Commons and the House of Lords. In the House of Lords were nobility, great landowners and bishops. And in the House of Commons were knights and knights who were smaller landowners, so knights, wealthy people, and the wealthy people were elected. So I don't know how much time we have left, and I have to be through in the 15 minutes. So we're just ending it with having the toes standing together, with breathing in. And out we're doing the down diving swan. Breathe in, come up into monkey half lift. And out again down. Again in and up into monkey half lift. And out down. And breathe in. And out we up diving swan. And with understanding what we will continue in part 2 with legal and political changes. So I thank you very much, and until next time.